I'm Sonicguru, and I still haven't thought of a catchphrase yet. Catchphrase, anyone? Catchphrase? No. Anyway, it's Halloween. It's time for an obligatory review on Halloween, scary, horror. Let's see what I got, right? Let's see. Silent Hill 2? Great story, great atmosphere, clunky controls. You know, another time. Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition. Considered a definitive version thanks to the Wii motion controls and the actual pointer. Nah, give me the year every time. Sonic the Hedgehog 2010. Now, actually, you know what? How about a review of a Halloween themed game that's not the least bit scary? Like Castlevania ReBirth for Nintendo Wii. But before I start, here's a little backstory.
Castlevania The Adventure for the original Game Boy was basically a stripped down version of a typical Castlevania game that you play on the NES. While the lack of familiar enemies and sub-weapons didn't necessarily hurt the game, the sluggish controls and overall sloppy game mechanics did. The end result is a game that is frustratingly difficult and considered to be more of a test of patience than an actual source of video game entertainment. Fast forward to 2009, Konami has already released Gradius ReBirth and Contra ReBirth, downloadable titles for WiiWare, which plays more like classic entries for those franchises. Naturally, a Castlevania ReBirth would follow, but rather than being a new game, it's theoretically a remake of the original Game Boy installment. But make no mistake, while it is based on the original adventure in terms of story and setting, it's more a return to the classic old school style of Castlevania that made the series great before the Metroid-esque Symphony of the Night came along.
Now that we're up to speed, let's dive straight into Konami's remake of the rebirth of Castlevania The Adventure.
Let me start by saying that the story is a retread of the story from Castlevania with a different Belmont. Set 100 years after the events of Dracula's Curse, Christopher Belmont, the descendant of Trevor Belmont, must defeat the newly resurrected Count Dracula from spreading his evil across the land.
As you can see, the story is paper thin and would only matter to the most hardcore Castlevania fans. And to that what was that? Just... you know what, never mind.
Gameplay is your standard affair. It plays exactly like in the NES games, right down to the simple point A to point B design that made the original Castlevania a classic. But that's not all, it went beyond what the Game Boy Adventure did. It reintroduced the sub-weapons, included alternate paths and added a fireball upgrade to the whip that stops when it runs out of energy.
So far it feels less of a remake and more of a new Castlevania game, adding what was originally subtracted as well as giving it a small essence of exploration with its alternate paths.
There are 6 levels in total designed around clever platform and enemy placement, much like the classic games. So honing your skills in later levels is a necessity as the difficulty does ramp up rather quickly. Each level has its own iconic bosses with sub-bosses which you can either skip or confront using alternate paths. But this leads to my first nitpick, and that these levels are too big. Now don't mind it too much, but there are times when I think this level is going to end, only to go on for another minute or so. Did I forget to mention these levels are timed? The controls are textbook. You move, you jump, you whip, you climb stairs, you kill enemies or eventually turn into a bloody mess. I never said this game was easy, but that's less of the game's fault and more of your own.
As you can see, it plays exactly like a Castlevania game. The original ones, that is, not the aptly named Metroidvania for Nintendo DS and Game Boy Advance. Okay, once it's a coincidence. Now you're just trying to piss me off.
Let's move on to presentation. Personally, I found the visuals in Castlevania ReBirth be superb. Its visual style is almost comparable to Castlevania New Generation, aka Bloodlines to a certain extent, only a lot more colourful with some additional special effects. However, it does seem a bit too colourful and that tends to kill the mood of the game, but on the whole the style works and doesn't distract from the experience. Plus they even brought back that little map intermission scene that happens between levels.
So far we've got a simple setting, textbook gameplay, and graphics that are far above a 16-bit console. But what about that final nail in the coffin that creates that genuine Castlevania experience? The music.
Outside of the title song, none of the original game's music is featured in ReBirth. Instead we are treated to a soundtrack comprising of remixes of lesser known but otherwise excellent tracks from other Castlevania titles. Some songs are great, others not so much, but overall ReBirth's soundtrack is damn catchy, especially Stage 3 aka New Messiah from Belmont's Revenge.
So overall, should you download Castlevania The Adventure ReBirth? Yeah.
Castlevania The Adventure ReBirth is a wonderful return to form, not only serving as a wonderful return to the old school gameplay mechanics that made the series popular in its early days, but also providing an adventure that is well designed, polished and fun. It's actually a solid entry in the series that, if nothing else, heals the wound set upon the catastrophe on Game Boy. Got a Nintendo Wii, love Castlevania, have 1,000 points to spare, then get this game. I rate this game 8.5 out of 10.
Now that that's out of the way, I just need to figure out that.
Oh, I am one of the many incarnations of evil. I am here to make you tremble in fear, quake with fright, and make big bloodstains in your underpants.
Is this happening right now?
Oh, I see that you are lost for words in your moment of terror.
No, I'm just confused. I mean, is this the best you can do? You come in like the Max Headroom incident and expect me to be terrified? It's pathetic!
Oh, come on, man, that hurts.
Look, it's going to take a lot more than that to scare me.
I don't know why I bother. Everything you're the same. You're trying to get your job done,
And it just always does. Oh, is there something on my face?